Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Steve Darcy, 17 Temple Road. I'm going to speak to all three articles that relate to the dog park tonight to make things quick for everyone.
Could you just tell them their numbers, please?
Yes, of course. Article 9, Article 12, and Article 15, Item 8, and I will explain how that works. Effectively, we have 1,700 dog licenses in the town of Marshfield, and we are looking for an approved location to take your dog to exercise in a fenced-in, off-leash approved location. So there is a grant from a charity called the Stanton Foundation that will fund 90% of the cost to build a dog park here in Marshfield. We also took another step to create a nonprofit to maintain and clean that park year-round called the Friends of the Marshfield Dog Park. And the only thing that we're asking for from the town tonight in terms of revenue is a 10% match for the grant from the town. And again, that 10% is going to let us get that grant, and it's coming from an existing revenue source. So we can build the dog park in Marshfield at no additional cost to the taxpayer. I'd like to add that the location is going to be on Commerce Way. It's up on a hill that is behind the Boys and Girls Club and overlooks the Rockwood Road soccer fields, and it can be accessed from two different ends of town via Enterprise Drive or via Proprietors Drive. If you are a dog owner in town, you will benefit because you will finally have an approved location to take your dog to exercise off-leash. The park will be divided into an area for small dogs and large dogs. It will be totally fenced in, and there will be a separate entrance for each section of the park for the dogs. And we really want to stress that a dog that receives the mental and physical stimulation that it needs is a much more well-behaved dog, and it reduces troublesome behavior. If you do not have a dog in Marshfield, or you may even hate dogs, I still think you will benefit by voting yes on these articles, and here's why. I think we can all agree that incentives are the best way to change behavior. So if we create the draw and attraction of a great dog park here in Marshfield, I think you'll see less dog waste in other Marshfield locations. I think another benefit is the fact that if we have more people going to the dog park, you'll see less people taking their dogs to the soccer fields and baseball fields around town, which will reduce wear and tear and cost to the taxpayer. Because even the good owners who pick up after their dogs, the urine can be destructive to the grass. I think there's another great benefit as well. I think a third benefit is, if you don't own dogs, is again, a dog that gets the exercise it needs is going to be a quiet, tired, well-behaved neighbor. So I think you benefit on that front as well. So basically, Article 12 allows us to accept a donation of land from VRT Corp. Article 9 combines 3 parcels of land into one to create a dog park, and it gives the selectmen the authority to apply for the grant and to accept the grant from the Stanton Foundation. And then finally, Article 15, Item 8 is the CPC funding. That will allow us to meet our 10% commitment to get the grant, and will help us also pay for any unforeseen soft costs that come up during this process. So, effectively, from beginning to end, we have a park that is almost entirely privately funded. And the way to think about this park is it is a public park to be enjoyed by our community that will be maintained and cleaned year-round by its supporters. Thank you.
Eric Kelly, Peterson Pat. It's a lease for 40 years. Is there a reason why it's so long?
The reason why this is 40 years is because the Stanton Foundation won't lease it for less than this, and they actually prefer a 99-year lease, so there's likely to be a future extension requested at a future town meeting.
In light of where the original spot, they wanted to be in a residential area, isn't there a major development going on right across the street from where this is going?
Mr. Darcy, you want to answer that question? Or I can try to get somebody else up.
I can answer it.
Please do.
The answer is no.
Since this is a lease and it will still be town property, what is the liability to the town, and is our insurance prepared to accept that liability?
The property will be leased for no consideration, and it'll enjoy the benefits and protections of the recreational use statute, which exempts the town from liability when there's no cost associated with allowing the land to be used.
So does the town of Marshfield receive tax dollars right now for the property that's going to be leased?
Can you answer that question? Anyone? Mr. Maresco, Mr. Del Russo, or Mr. Darcy?
I'm not sure. We'd have to get back to Mr. Lynch.
They're not certain.
Well,
I'm going to vote against this. I have a dog. I'm not going to bring my dog to your dog park. I don't need to. And if I was going to bring my dog to your dog park, you should charge me a fee instead of charging the residents of Marshfield $50,000 out of their tax dollars to pay for your little private enterprise that you're having. It's ridiculous. This is way beyond the purview of government to pay for dog parks. That's why I voted for Donald Trump, because of people like you.
Please, let's not have any personal attacks.
The Scituate Park works great. And Steve, I have a question for you. One of the things I learned about a Scituate is for folks that don't normally use it, what type of signage program will you have on the do's and the don'ts, especially for the safety and entering and exiting? Have you guys thought that through?
All right, please direct your questions to me, the
Hey,
moderator.
I'm sorry,
Can you answer that question, Mr. Darcy?
Thank you.
Yes, I can answer that
Would you
question.
please?
Yes. So we would put up kind of the standard signage that the Stanton Foundation requires about the rules and regulations for the park. And then what Scituate also has is basically a series of educational posters as well for, you know, what certain body language signals mean from dogs to look out for in certain situations. But basically, we would have the standard signage that they require and they look for to educate and inform the public for what the rules are to use the park, such as, you know, making sure your dog is up to date on their vaccinations, making sure that your dogs are spayed and neutered. So kind of the standard signage that they look for and they require.
Will there be opportunities for the dog park to earn money with selling of bricks and signage and things like that that can help with their operating expense?
Can you answer that question, Mr. Darcy?
Yes, we will absolutely pursue that along with other options as well. One thing that we want to imitate is what they did at the rec center baseball fields in the center of town, where they have wooden sponsorship signs around the fencing around the various fields. We think that would be a good annual revenue source for us as well as selling benches and selling bricks.
For passage of Article number 9, it requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of Article 9, raise your hands. All those opposed? It clearly passes by more than 2/3. We're now going to Article...